Hey there, everybody. So I decided because I gotten some feedback that I needed to address more about my hair color. So I think, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So first, I'm going to stand back so you can actually see my color. And I just did a retie, so I'm scalpy here, as you can see. But let's go on and get my hair. So I think I did a pretty good job of keeping my grid these past 3 reties that I've done. Now, in my last video, I said that I had colored my hair after only 6 weeks, and that was wrong. It was 10 weeks. Yeah, 10 weeks. When I went back to look at my calendar, I could see that it was 10 weeks. I want to tell you all that for as scalpy as I look, this used to be so much worse. But that Hollywood hair bar has taken me a long way. And it only really looks this way now when I retie it. This is not a commercial for Hollywood hair bar. There are so many different hair growth products out there. It's just Hollywood hair bar is the one that I found that works for me. Okay? All right. So let's talk about my hair. What I did to protect my hair from a whole lot of damage. Well, what I mean is slippage, not damage, but slippage. And the work that I have to do on the back end was I banded my hair. That's what I did first. So I banded it in 12 sections. And the hair color that I used is a professional hair color. So I got it from Salon Centrics because I have a professional account with them. And I'm using, I used Soul Color, Matrix Soul Color, the Coil brand for natural hair. And I use colors 6 Red Copper and High Definition Red. So I mixed it only with 20 volume because most African Americans really, sorry about it. It's hot out here, y'all. It's hot. So most African Americans really only need 20 volume to lift your hair. And I didn't want to do a whole heap of lifting. I could have gone at least to a 30 because that's what I colored my hair with the first time, because I was using the same batch of color that I used in my hair extensions because I wanted them to match. So anyway, I used 20 volume, and initially I mixed some of the Red Copper, just a little small amount, with the 20 volume, and I pulled out pieces that I wanted to highlight. And I put the Red Copper, the 6RC, on those strands. I pulled them from each of the 12 patches that I had. I was careful not to get too many strands together. You know, when you pull a section here, you pull out strands here, but then you have a section here and you pull out strands in the same spot, you know, like neighboring strands or whatever. So I was sure not to do that. I got them from inside the bundles and all kinds of stuff. And I put that in. And then I mixed the Red Copper and the high definition red together in another bowl and put it on the rest. So I started at my roots first, and then I pulled the color out on some of them. On the others, I put the color on the ends first and then started at the roots. It's this thing I learned in the salon about my hair, that is, there's some areas that may not take so well, so I know where those areas are. Like there's one here. Had I not put the color there first, I would have been a little darker here. And then there's a spot back here in the back that does the same thing. So, you know, I know what to do for my hair, and having had a salon for so long. So let's address a little bit of the feedback that I got initially about the color, and then I'll go on to whatever else I did. So people were saying, oh, you need to stick to a professional. And my response to that was, you know, locticians don't have to have a license. There is no license governing locking hair. But we also know that some people with certificates aren't any better than the 7th grader in the kitchen. They take your hair out. We have horror stories all the time from people who have licenses, right? So I'm a professional in the sense that I grew up in the hair care business. I had 3 aunts who had their own salons. I owned 3 salons. I taught classes in my salons. I knew what I was doing. More than that, I wasn't afraid to have to redo some of my locks. Luckily, I didn't have to redo any of them. I'm not saying that box color doesn't work, because it could. You know, it really could do the job. I use professional colors because I have access to them. That's number 1. Number 2 is I know that professional colors perform better than the box colors. And that's by design. That's so that when you go to your stylist, she's doing something, she's providing a service that you may not have access to. That's how that goes. That's the industry. At any rate, Matrix is a professional color, but this can be performed, I'm most definitely sure, with box colors. My point for doing this entire experiment and posting about it is because there's so many stories out there. Y'all see my little beads? My lock beads? Yeah, okay, so anyway, there's so many stories out there in the lock community, so many myths, so many assumptions, so many wannabe goats telling us what to do. And we follow a lot of that stuff, like not putting oil in your hair. Well, I have not subscribed to that. I spent some time in Jacksonville, and my scalp was all flaky, stuff was falling out. And I knew that I'd never had that situation before in my life. So I knew that I needed oil on my scalp, not just rose water or some other type of spray. I needed some oil on my scalp. Now, I never had to oil my hair. I hadn't done that in years. You know, we go with bergamot and all that kind of stuff. But now we know better, right? So when you know better, you do better. But with these locks, my scalp is dry, so I have to oil it. Now, that's just something that comes with the locks. People talk about that all the time. I don't know the science behind that, and I don't pretend to. I just subscribe to what works for me only. So, at any rate, I did this process in my hair, and because I was afraid of the clarifying shampoo taking too much of the color out too soon, and I ended up with brown hair early because as I said in my previous video, reds fade to brown. I got a color safe shampoo here, this one, and it works well. It does. My normal shampoo is this one. I love it. My hair is so shiny and soft and conditioned, and it's like I had conditioner on, and I barely didn't use conditioner. So yeah, even in this process, after I shampooed my hair, on the first day I shampooed it like 3 times, and my scalp had color on it still, but I didn't use conditioner. I just sprayed rose water and my special tonic that I make for my hair, and I put some oil at the base, and that was it. But the next day I really wanted that color off of my skin, so I went back with this one and got more color off. I was like, okay, if I lose some color, I lose some color. That's the intent. I want to get this stuff off my scalp. And I knew that if I took it off my scalp, then it could possibly mean taking it from my hair as well, because that's what clarifying shampoo does. It strips your hair of everything. But it turned out okay. It turned out just fine. All of it. In all, I had to retighten about 12 locks. I counted, so there's no about. I retightened 12 locks. I left my hair in the bands until it dried. I reinforced some of the bands when it felt like they were coming loose from the shampooing. I, slid them back on well so they stay in place. I dried my hair with microfiber towels that I have specifically for my shampoo days with my hair. And after it air dried, I took it down. and then I sprayed it. And I did my reties after it, kind of dried a little bit. Did my reties. I know most people like to do their reties, very wet, but for me, because I have my locks the appropriate size for the base, there's nothing larger than it should be. I don't have the problem with slipping my hair through and breaking. You can hear it when it's popping or breaking. I've been told that many times. And I think I heard on one of them, and it had a fat end on it, from some junk I had done. So at any rate, yeah. And I took my time. I did my retie about 2 weeks later, maybe, or a week or so later. I did my retie, and that's when I went in and tightened up some of my locks so that I don't have so many loose, frizzy ends. Yeah, so that's what happened with my color. I want you to think about your hair texture. Mine is thin, low density, 4C. So texture could play a role in how your hair behaves when you leave a product on for a while, right? We all know this. So make sure that you band. And I would say before you do your entire head, if you think that you may experience that problem, color just a section. Try it on just a section and see what happens in that section of maybe 10 locks or so. Color it and see what happens. If you can get your stylist to do it because you're afraid to, good. But I encourage everyone, I'm not talking about the color, but I'm talking about familiarity with the map you have here, this landscape. Take some time to put your hands in your hair and not fluffing it looking cute, but move around in there and see where the skinny locks are and the larger locks are, and get you a 3-way mirror and start looking at your hair, paying attention. You don't have to become a DIYer, but knowing your head, it just makes so much difference. It's like an awakening in a sense. For me, I'm glad that I chose to DIY. First of all, I wasn't paying nobody $2,500 to do this to my hair. I just won't do that. To me, it's dumb. Like, everything has gone up over COVID, right? But the people who were doing this for $850 before COVID, did they learn something new during COVID? So why am I paying you $2,500? Because inflation hasn't gone up that much. Not like that I should give you a mortgage plus for some people just to get my hair done. I just think it's wrong. And I also feel that, in the black community where this is being forced upon us by other black people, that you're going to price yourself out of the market soon. I want you to think about this. I put this in one of my groups. Remember when we were going back in the day to get our nails done, and chicks were charging $75, $100, stuff like that for a set, and we paid it. This is who we wanted. This is who we had to go to until we didn't, right? Nail shops opened up. I remember in Gateway Mall, Jacksonville, Florida, flashing light, and it said nail up at the top of it. Full set, $17. $17. They didn't have to put the S on nails. $17. And no matter how much the nail girls screamed about, we're using Tammy Taylor, they using cheap stuff over there, that stuff bad on your nails, blah, 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 blah. All them chicks ended up having to get jobs because they priced themselves out of the market. That's it. And that's what's going to happen here. Same thing with sew-ins. I set my first $50 sew-in shop next to a salon wherein they were charging $250 to sew in and made you buy their hair extensions. Highway robbery. Highway robbery. So you come out paying about $600 to get a sew-in. But then there's this $50 sew-in right next door. Do you know how many of her clients would sneak over there? We'd open on Sundays just so they could come over there and get their hair done and not be seen, because her shop wasn't open on Sundays. Her family members, her husband's daughter, all of that, because she priced herself out of the market. That's all it is to it. That happens, and she had to make some adjustments to her whole scheme, and it was a scheme. But she had to make adjustments to that. And so I'm saying the adjustment time is coming, ladies. For all of you guys and gals who are charging through the roof for locks, what happens when somebody starts opening these lock salons with that $50 sew-in concept in mind? No matter how much you scream about they don't know what they're doing over there, people are going to go and they're going to find out they do know what they're doing. I gave stiff competition in Jacksonville, the sew-ins. I did. It was a great market, and I had 2 salons in Jacksonville and part ownership on a 3rd salon. So I'm just saying, you guys should think about that. Stop beating your own people over the head like that. $3,000. Don't talk about your time, because that's crap. You were doing it for $850 before COVID. And now you're at $3,175, $2,500, $1,800. You didn't learn anything new. And I'd like for everyone who wants locks to be able to afford to come to a salon and get their locks, right? I don't know. Maybe I'll open my own salon and stop pleading to everybody else to do anything. All right. So that's it. Take your time with your hair. Test it, to make sure that your hair texture will perform like this, because not everyone will. And go from there. But you definitely don't have to wait a year. Now, wait. Let's make sure that you understand I didn't use bleach. There's no bleach here. I plan to, when they lock some more, to use bleach. I have some of them locking. I was showing this one. You see this one lock right here? It's dropped and everything. You see that? And I am a good 11, 12 weeks in or so, something like that. It's locked on the end and it's dropped. It's the only one that sits there by itself. It's performing all on its own. I also have some like super long ones. I don't know how that happens, but they just get long. Like when I try to tighten them, they just, like this one right here. It's so long, and it just hangs there long like that. Like maybe I did something to it. I don't know. There's another one over here that does the same thing. So weird. Anyway, all right. Toodles. Happy journeying.